DreAllDay.com. DreAllDay.com. Let's talk the bare minimum of life. Whether that's the bare minimum you're given or the bare minimum you feel like you are receiving. This morning I was taking a walk and I saw these women, 3 women, getting into an Uber. And the guy who's driving the Uber, he pulls up to the corner, he pulls up to the curb, like right when I'm about to walk past, and I see the 3 chicks, they cross the street so they can get over to the car. And they each had a suitcase, so I guess they were coming from a vacation in Miami or whatever. And the dude, the driver, he popped the trunk. So the trunk opens up and the 3 women, they start putting their suitcases in the trunk of the car. And the Uber driver, as I'm walking past the car, I'm seeing him, he's just sitting in the driver's seat. And then he's like, typing on his phone or whatever. Maybe he has a check that he picked up the ride or whatever. And the girls are putting their bags in the trunk. Dude never got out the car. And this makes me think to myself, all right, this guy's giving a bare minimum effort. He didn't even get out the car to help his riders with their bags to get into his car. Now, he saw that they had bags because obviously he popped the trunk. And it reminds me of a situation years ago. I was in Vegas, right? And I had a suitcase. Uber driver pulls up. Actually, he was sitting and I saw him, so I walked over towards his car. I had to walk past the driver's side of the car to get to the trunk, and I got my suitcase right there, rolling suitcase with me. Dude never got out the car. So I put my suitcase in the car, and when I get in the car, I say to him, yo, like, you wasn't gonna help me with the bag? And he was like, well, we're not supposed to. That was his explanation. We're not supposed to help riders with their bags. Now, here's the thing. I have never driven Uber or Lyft, so I'm gonna give dude the benefit of the doubt, the Vegas driver, that maybe that's the truth. Maybe technically, according to the rules, you might not want to touch other people's bags because then you got liability, maybe insurance issues. If something goes wrong, you could get sued. You might lose your job as a driver. Uber or Lyft could get sued because you touched the bags or something like that. I get that. And I also get maybe that's why this guy in Miami was doing the same thing, not helping people out the cars. But I want to talk about a bigger issue than that. Okay, so if you're watching this and you happen to drive Uber or Lyft and you think you take it personal and I'm saying this, well, fuck it, you could take it personal, but that's not really the point. The point is, in life, if all you do is the bare minimum, if all you do is what the job description says, but you don't do any more than that, just that's pretty much what you're going to get back from life. You're going to get the bare minimum back if you're putting the bare minimum out. Understand that when you have a job, for example, or if you're driving Uber or Lyft, let's just call that the job. Okay, you could be running a business. The job is what I'm saying. The bare minimum requirements for you to do what you do. The requirements that are listed in your job description is not what entitles you to getting oversized rewards. All that job description is just telling you what you need to do to have a job, to not get fired. In other words, if I hire somebody to work for me and I tell them I need you to do this, 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 and this, and that's all they do, and that's all you're bringing to the table, you're driving Uber or Lyft, all you do is pull up, push the button, they get in the car, put their bags in the car themselves, take their bags out, you never even get out the driver's seat the whole time. That's the bare minimum. For that alone, you're going to get your, whatever the percentage is that you get for giving a ride. I don't know the numbers. Whatever that is, that's what you get. That's the bare minimum, right? That's all you get. You're not getting any more, you're not getting any less. That's it. But what I've seen a lot of people who drive, because I was on some message boards, not communicating, but reading before I even made this video, because I did a podcast on this topic as well, where I went into more depth. So if you're looking for more depth on any subject I talk about here on video, then you gotta get on the Work on Your Game podcast. That's where I go into more depth in this. I try to keep it short for the YouTube audience. But anyway, I was reading on these message boards, there were a lot of people who are drivers, and they were pretty much saying, I don't do the extra. I don't go above and beyond. I don't help people with their bags or, things like that, anything above just giving the ride, because most people don't tip. There was several people who said this. Most riders don't tip, and I read a blog post that somebody wrote, like 7 things that you do that annoy your Uber riders, and one of them was you don't give a tip. That annoys them. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It annoys them. Understand that a gratuity, a tip is what they call a gratuity, the technical term of it. Any of you ever look up the definition of gratuity? It means extra. Gratuity means extra, above what is required. So if you want to receive a gratuity, a tip, something that's above what's required, that means your service, your effort, whatever you bring to the table as the deliverer of the service, you must go above and beyond what's required. If you're not going above and beyond, why should you expect to get above and beyond? I remember I was on Twitter, like this is probably about a year or two ago, and I had used one of the delivery service apps like Grubhub or Postmates, one of those. And I ordered some food and a person brought the food or whatever. And the next time I logged into the app, it was like, hey, for your last transaction, how much of a tip do you want to leave to the driver? And I wasn't going to leave any tip. And the reason why I wasn't going to leave a tip is not because I'm cheap. It's not because I don't have the money. It's because they already charged. I paid for the food. I paid the tax. And I had to pay a fee. There's a fee that the app charges, like a delivery fee or whatever it is, like the Postmates fee or whatever app it was. They charged me a fee of like $4, $5, $6, something like that. I'm like, shit, that's what I'm paying for. That fee right there is what I'm paying. I wasn't paying anything extra, and the driver didn't do nothing extra, so I wasn't paying nothing extra. And the driver, it's not like the driver was extra courteous or nice or memorable in any way. I said, I ain't giving no tip. I decided that I wasn't going to give a tip. But the way the app was set up, there was no way to get past this page without choosing some type of number. So I tweeted to Postmates or whoever it was and said, yo, I told them the situation. I'm trying to get off this page. I'm not leaving a tip. Somebody who I don't know obviously saw the tweet and they jumped in the conversation. And they said, well, you know, if you're not going to tip your drivers, then you shouldn't order from Postmates. And y'all know how it is these days. This is how people are on social media. Jump in a conversation. I understand it's public. Jump in a conversation that's not theirs and tell somebody why what they're doing is incorrect, even though they don't have any of the context. And this led to, actually wrote an article about this, again, a year or two ago, explaining, and I talked on Twitter on this too after that, was like, yo, first of all, if you are expecting gratuity, that means you need to do something that earns a gratuity. A gratuity is not something that just, you're not entitled to an extra. You're not entitled to a tip. Nobody's entitled to a tip. A lot of people who work in service industries, such as you could think like a barber or a hairdresser or a meal deliverer person or a waiter or a waitress or a Uber driver or a Lyft driver, they think they're entitled to a tip just because they're doing a service and a tip is possible. They think they're entitled to it. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything above what you signed for in the contract. There's nothing in the contract that says you get a tip but every time a customer comes through. That's not the way that it works. If you're not getting those tips or the type of tips that you want, or you feel like a certain customer might not tip you, that's probably because, first of all, your attitude is the first thing causing. And second of all, you're probably not giving anything above the bare minimum, which is why that's exactly what you're getting. And here's the other thing. Here's the other side to it. If you happen to be a person, one of these service workers that I've referred to, hairdresser, Uber driver, Grubhub, Postmates, waiter or waitress, and you feel like people don't tip properly, or you feel like I'm wrong. You're like, Dre, you're an asshole. If you got the money and you can afford it, if you could afford to order the service, you should be able to afford to pay a tip. Well, here's the thing. I can afford to pay a tip. That doesn't mean I have to give it to you. I could afford a lot of things. Don't mean I got to buy them. If you feel like a person like me and many other people who may think like me, or somebody who may be persuaded by what I'm saying right here, isn't giving a tip, you feel like that's wrong for them not to give you a tip even though they're utilizing your service, here's what you need to do. You got two options. Option one, actually you got three options. Option one is you can do what most people do, which is bitch and complain about it in the comment section or a message board or on Facebook, which is going to change nothing. Hopefully you don't choose option one, but you probably will. Option two, and I'm just saying, speaking to the average person, option two is you can step your game up. First of all, change your attitude about what you expect, because in life, in general, in the long run of life, you get what you expect. So if you're a waiter and you see a table of people sitting there, you know that's your table, and you're like, all right, they look like they ain't got no money, so they probably not gonna leave a tip. If you approach the table with that type of attitude, what type of tip do you think you're gonna get? Probably exactly what you expect, which is probably zero. So you got to change your attitude about how you approach your work. Approach it with a different attitude, a different spirit, a spirit of giving. And guess what? People are going to be giving to you. When you are a giving person, people give back. Trust me, I know. I'm qualified to speak on this. If you're a person who's thinking in scarcity terms, like, man, I ain't giving extra service because nobody gives me any extra money. Well, guess what you're going to get back? You're going to get people who are thinking scarcity just like you. Your energy infects their energy, and they're going to give you exactly what you expect. This is the law of karma. Here's the third option you have. You can quit. You can stop working there and go somewhere where whatever effort you're giving, if you feel like it's good enough, you're actually getting what you deserve to get. Deserve, quote unquote, to get. A lot of people like to use this word deserve as if something is owed to them. And really, nobody deserves anything until you already got it. But you understand that the spirit of what I'm saying here is, if you feel like working as an Uber driver, people aren't giving you tips and you should be making more money. With the tips, you would make more money, but nobody's giving them to you. Well, go get a job where you actually make that more money. Go find the job. Go find a person or place or thing that will pay you the kind of money you feel that you're entitled to. And let me give you a little secret. If you were really entitled to that kind of money, you wouldn't have to go look for it. It would already be there. You would already have it. And you could probably get it where you're at if you will follow point number 2 or option number 2, which is change your attitude. See, this is the way that it works in life, people. You do not get what you feel you're entitled to. You don't even get what you deserve. You get what you earn. If you don't have it, that means you haven't earned it yet. No matter what your fans say, no matter what a whole bunch of your coworkers agree with, no matter what everybody on your Facebook page says, if you don't have it, that means you didn't earn it. That's the reason why you're complaining about it. That's the way that it works in life. And if you give life the bare minimum, life is going to give you the bare minimum back. You probably already can see this in your own life. This is not something you had to go live to find out about. You already seen it. It's already happening in your life. That's the reason why you've been complaining and bitching about it. You're not getting what you feel like you deserve because you ain't good enough. You ain't providing the value in order to get what you claim that you want. So step your game up or go find a new game to play or change your attitude. You ain't even got to change your skills. Just change your attitude and everything else is going to change for you. Work on your game. Dre all day.